Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10, and for the first annual edition of the 10, we will be doing top 10 comic book cartoons. Anything comic book related, it doesn't matter, the DC, Marvel, whatnot, where it aired, it's just top 10 comic book cartoons of all time. I'm Caleb, and I'm here with Cameron. Cameron, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man, and let's not waste any time. Let's just delve right into it right now with number 10, Wolverine and the X-Men. Wolverine and the X-Men ran from 2009 to 2009, so it was only on for a few months, but nonetheless the impact it made was fantastic, even though it only lasted one season, with the tale of Charles Xavier and Jean Grey just disappearing, and Wolverine's got to rally the X-Men together to figure out what happened. Cameron, what did you think about the series?
Really good show. It's a little bit higher on. It should be a little bit higher on this list, but the rest of the list, you'll see why it's at number 10.
Exactly, and then there's no doubt that I'm sorry, it's not a movie, it's a show. That this cartoon is extremely popular, even though it was canceled due to financial issues, and the cliffhanger at the end left fans begging for season two just to see what would happen. And me too. I wish there was a season two coming out. I really do. But we just have one amazing season. Now, number 9 on this list, moving from Marvel to DC, is Young Justice, which aired on Cartoon Network in 2010 2013. It only had 2 seasons in the 3 years it was on air, but nonetheless, it is still an incredible show. I just finished season 1 on Netflix, and it's just overall, it's fantastic. The overall story is great, and Cameron, what did you think of it?
At first, I didn't know a lot about the Young Justice, but if you watch this show, they follow a lot of the comic storylines, so you will learn a lot and you'll learn to love these characters.
Exactly. It's one of those things that you can take every single character, even though Aqualad is kind of useless, you're going to realize, oh, hey, he's here for the voice of reason. You're not going to like Superboy at first because he's kind of a jerk, but then you're going to realize, hey, he's not really that bad. And then it's just overall just all of the characters that get added on. And the thing is, even the main cast, more people are added throughout the 26 episodes of the first season. And the second season takes place 5 years later. So you've got like Nightwing, and then Beast Boy shows up and stuff like that. And overall, it's another show where it's just a complete shame that Young Justice had to be canceled because it was so great and it is so loved. And people just love it. It's another show. It's got a great legacy. And season 3 could still happen. And I hope it does. What about you?
I really do hope it does.
Yeah, Young Justice is just fantastic. Number 9. And we move from number 9 to number 8, which is Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 1990s. This Spider-Man series was just, it defined my childhood for so many reasons. It just followed the story of Peter Parker being Spider-Man. They don't really go into his origins a whole bunch, but he just, has this entire rogues gallery of villains. He's got his whole stuff with Mary Jane and his aunt and working at the Daily Bugle and stuff with the Kingpin is pretty much the main antagonist of this series. And then you just got so many great comic book storylines explored. You've got Mark Hamill voicing the Hobgoblin. You've got a bunch of cool stuff. Even though this show is kind of cheesy and doesn't necessarily hold up, it's no doubt that it defined a lot of our childhoods. Cameron, talk about how it defined your childhood.
Um, it, this cartoon is what really made me get into superheroes and my love for Spider-Man. Like you said, it doesn't hold up well, but if you really want to get those 90s feels and that nostalgia, you should really watch this cartoon.
Oh, definitely. It's just nothing. This is one of those cartoons that really does define the 90s. It is one of the greatest 90s cartoons ever. And it's overall, if you want a fun Spider Man series, hey, if you're not in, if you want shows that really hold up and they're not as cheesy, I wouldn't watch it. But still, nonetheless, Spider Man is a great show. And it's definitely worth checking out. And then going from Fox, Fox Kids to HBO, but I completely forgot it was Fox Kids. I almost said Fox. We go to Spawn. Now, Spawn is the only animated show on this list that is 100% centered towards adults, not really towards kids, because whenever the concept is a man who, assassinated people, went to hell after he died, and then was sent back as a hell spawn to, lead Satan's army and whatnot, it's pretty dark. And this show, Spawn proved that the character Spawn is incredible. He has that insane internal struggle, which we see so much with comic book characters, but you really see it with Spawn. And the artwork is incredible, and the animation is just fantastic. It's just a fantastic show. It's just that's it. Cameron, wouldn't you say this is basically HBO in itself? This is HBO and comics in one, and it's like a dream.
Yes, yes. And if you are under the age of probably 16, I would definitely ask your parents' permission to watch this because it does get violent and it is mature content.
Oh yeah, and there's some nudity in it as well, so you got some
Yes.
cartoon boobs.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have HBO Go, I think I have it. I've never actually checked if this whole thing is on HBO Go. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. I
It's
know you can
totally on
find it
YouTube.
on YouTube.
Yeah, like the entire series is on YouTube. But then we go from Spawn, we lap around to DC, and with number 6 on this list, we have Justice League. And Justice League Unlimited is basically the same show, so it's wedged in there as well. So we're going to count them as one. Basically, Justice League, you have amazing cast of DC heroes, some of DC's biggest heroes, like Batman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and many more. And overall, it's just them working together as a team. Sometimes it's comedic, sometimes it's serious. But really, this show was really aware of itself, of what it was. It was able to just have the correct tone, and it really showed what animated shows in the last 10 years can truly be. Don't you agree?
Yes. If you don't really know a whole lot about the Justice League, I would definitely recommend watching this. Even if you are only into Batman and Superman, you'll get to learn to like Flash and Wonder Woman and all those other Justice League members.
Oh, exactly. Like Justice League is it's a great show. I grew up watching the show as well.
Yeah, same.
I watched it quite a bit. Like it's a fun show. It's definitely worth. I haven't watched it in a few years, but it's just awesome.
Yes, it's
Definitely
really
check it
awesome.
out. And speaking of stuff involving Batman and DC, number 5 on this list is Batman Beyond, taking kind of a Dark Knight Returns-ish story, but not like nothing will ever measure up to the Dark Knight Returns. But it's basically Batman Beyond is Bruce Wayne is old. He's been retired from being Batman for 20 years due to his heart problems. So he meets this young kid named Terry McGinnis. He takes him under his wing, and Terry McGinnis becomes Batman, who gets not only some of Batman's old villains, but his own rogues gallery as well, that comes along through this 3-season ride, and a fan favorite, which ultimately climaxed in the straight-to-DVD movie, The Return of the Joker, which is one of the best straight-to-DVD animated movies ever. It's just fantastic. Cameron, what do you think about Batman Beyond?
I really hadn't heard of it until a few years ago, and when I started watching it, I was hooked. And I do think that this is one of the greatest comic cartoons of all time.
Oh, definitely. The story is just incredible, and plus, old Bruce Wayne is just like the greatest character ever.
Oh yes, and if you want a little, maybe a sneak peek of the new Arkham Knight in the video game, you might want to check this out.
Yeah, this costume, and also you can check out the CNC Comics podcast, which is on Friday on this very channel, coming out. This is coming out on Tuesday, and we talk a little bit about Arkham Knight theories, and I talk a little bit about why I think Terry McGinnis could be the Arkham Knight, because their costumes are a bit similar. They're not 100% the same, but I can definitely see the similarities.
Yeah, same.
The question is, does Arkham Knight have rocket boots?
Maybe.
Who knows? Going from DC back to Marvel, we have number 4 on this list, and that is X-Men Evolution. X-Men Evolution takes the characters you know and love from the X-Men comic books and the 90s cartoon, and they bring you X-Men Evolution, which I just said the title twice. And basically, it is X-Men in high school, and you got Wolverine and Storm and Xavier who aren't, but Jean Grey, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Rogue, and many others are all in high school, plus the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is there, and overall, it just mixes them together for a great 4-season ride. It's just a fantastic series, and Cameron, this is like your favorite comic book show ever, right?
Yes, this is what I grew up on. This is what started my love for X-Men. With the show, some of the character voice acting is sometimes inconsistent, but that doesn't take away from the luster of the show, and it's really amazing. Everyone should watch it.
Pretty much everything but Rogue was really good.
Yes, yes.
And by Rogue, and her character was great, but her voice acting was very bad in the
Yeah,
show.
it was inconsistent.
Yeah, it was just terrible. But nonetheless, X-Men Evolution, definitely check that out. It's just a fantastic series. And from Marvel back to DC, and speaking of teenage superheroes, we have at number 3 Teen Titans, which ran 5 seasons and only ran like 3 years. And basically, they took the Teen Titans comic book and they put it, on the television screen. And we got Robin, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire all working together to battle evil and just do stuff. And battling Hive and Slade Wilson, who is Deathstroke. But unfortunately, because of stuff with the network, they couldn't call him Deathstroke for some reason at the time, which is unfortunate. Because kids might be like, oh, he's called Deathstroke. That's bad. Whatever. But nonetheless, but this is also the show that had, Giant Demon as the main antagonist. But, Deathstroke, oh, we can't have that as a name. But nonetheless, Teen Titans is a fantastic cartoon. I grew up watching it. I thought it was a fantastic show. It's another one I haven't watched in a while, but Nonetheless, the memory of this show lives on, and I think it's amazing. I think it's incredible. It's a fan favorite. Ron Perlman is in it. That's enough reason for you to watch it. Just Ron Perlman, Sons of Anarchy, Hellboy. Ron Perlman's in it. It's awesome. Cameron, Teen Titans, go. Oh, that was a bad reference. But go with your thoughts on Teen Titans.
Teen Titans is basically Young Justice with different characters, you can say. It's a really solid show.
Exactly. Like, that's basically what the comic is, too, because Teen Titans and Young Justice are both things in the comics, but they're two different teams.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, because it's not enough just to have one teenage superhero team. They had to have two because of them rage and hormones. Also, Cyborg looks like he's 20 years old. I'm just saying. He looks like he is not a teenager. It's kind of weird. But nonetheless, also, don't watch Teen Titans Go. It's really bad.
No.
I don't care if it reminds anyone of the Tiny Titans. And Cameron knows, we know a person who's like, oh, it reminds me of the Tiny Titans. No, it's bad. Do not watch Teen Titans Go. It's really stupid.
For number 3 to start any beef here, to each his own.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a joke, nonetheless. Then we go to number 2, Batman the Animated Series, which is also kind of mixed in with the new Batman Adventures, because it's essentially a continuation, and it's the same show. Batman the Animated Series is one of the most popular shows in general of all time. It's one of the darkest cartoons. It really showed how good children's television can be, and it really defined an era. Plus, we got the beginning of Luke Skywalker voicing the Joker, Mark Hamill, and in one of the most iconic voice roles of all time. And plus, if it wasn't for this series, we wouldn't have Harley Quinn, who we love so much.
Oh, yes.
Cameron, so you're a fan of the Batman Animated Series, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. I've been meaning to collect it, buy it on DVD and whatnot, and rewatch it because it's not anywhere. It's not on Netflix or anything. So why not buy it? And they even have the new Batman Adventures mixed in, so it's like it is there. It's just counted as Batman the Animated Series for some reason. It's just awesome. Overall, Batman the Animated Series is a show that, hey, if you're gonna recommend a show just to watch as a cartoon, if you're like, I want to watch, if you're like, older and you're like, man, I watched some shows as a kid, I want to go back and watch some comic booky stuff. Batman the Animated Series is one of the most perfect series you can go back to, just because of the tone of it. It's not just for kids at all. Overall, it's just a fun show. It's a great show. It's a dark show. It's got everything you could want in a superhero cartoon, plus Mark Hamill as the Joker, which is just amazing. Have I mentioned how amazing Mark Hamill is as the Joker?
Yes, you have.
Have I said it enough? Do I have to say it again?
Let's go to number 1.
And then number 1 on this list, which you probably, since Batman the Animated Series was number 2, you've probably been able to figure out in your mind that number 1 on this list is X-Men the Animated Series from the 1990s. And yes, I'm aware that 3/4 of every X-Men cartoon are on this list besides X-Men Pride of the X-Men, but that was a terrible pilot that no one should ever watch. But X-Men the Animated Series is just one of the great, just really, like we said, the greatest animated comic book, whatever, cartoon of all time. Even though the voice acting was kind of strange at times, you can't deny the X-Men struggle to deal with just problems like Magneto and Apocalypse, and just overall, it really showed segregation. Like, this show really did teach people about segregation, because that is, at the end of the day, what X-Men is about. It is about segregation between humans and mutants and how it goes, and this show represented it perfectly. And not only that, this show did what X-Men The Last Stand couldn't do, and that is represent the Dark Phoenix saga perfectly. And it was amazing. Cameron, is this not... You got to agree with me here. We both put it at number 1. Greatest comic book show ever.
Yes, this is amazing. If you love Gambit and Rogue like I do, this is probably one of the best representations of them you can find. The voice acting for Rogue and Gambit are personally my favorite in history, but hey, I might be just a little biased.
One thing, too, is Gambit and Rogue, this is the only cartoon they're really together on.
Yes, that is also true.
Yeah, but it's just overall, it's an amazing series. And it's the subtones even the episode Nightcrawler was introduced in.
Yes.
Like, every subtone, that is one of the best episodes on the show, just the way they were able to represent it. Overall, this show was just amazing. Is there really any more that needs to be said about why this is number 1?
No.
It's just awesome, greatest comic book cartoon of all time. And nonetheless, but of course, I'm sure some of you disagree with me. I'm sure some of you think we're just stupid idiots who are biased somehow about something. whatever. But you can like this video if you liked it. You can dislike this video. I don't care. You can say whatever you want in the comments. You can say you agree with this. You can say you disagree. You can say it nicely. You can say it rudely. I don't care. The only reason I deleted it if it was a little too mean. But nonetheless, just hey, feel free to favorite, subscribe, do whatever you really want to with this video. Hey, it's up to you. You want to share it to your friends. You want to not share it to your friends. Do what you must. Do you think we're terrible? Do you think we are somehow ripping off Steven Larson or Watch Mojo, which would make no sense, just because we're two people? We're not saying Caleb here and Cameron, and, we don't have, Watch Mojo. But nonetheless, we do love Steven Larson and Watch Mojo. And we do love ranking things, do we not?
We do.
So nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this list. Please tune into next week's list. Please subscribe, check out everything else. If you like other comic book stuff, we got a comic book podcast on Fridays, which, if you're a youngin', it's a little explicit, so I do apologize. You might want to check it out and be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't listen to this. But nonetheless, I'm Caleb, that's Cameron, and we will see you next time.